why you should leave Canada before it's too late. If you're Canadian, I'm sure that you're noticing that the country is trending heavily in the wrong direction. I'm sure that you're noticing all of these issues with the country. Higher taxes than ever before. People are becoming poorer than ever before. Public services are becoming more and more strained. Infrastructure is crumbling. There is just so much that's going wrong with Canada, and it's heavily trending in the wrong direction. In this video, we're going to talk exactly how you can escape Canada. It's never been more accessible to escape Canada than ever before. It's never been easier. It's never been cheaper. There's never been more options in history for you to go to as a Canadian. So it's really the best time if you have a remote job, you have an online business, you're retired, you've got enough savings to live off. There's never been a better time to leave Canada and go somewhere where the grass is greener. So to start off with, let's go through some of the issues that are in Canada, and then we can kind of talk about where you should go to fix these issues. Some of these issues are going to be, affect you more than others. So it's about figuring out what you want to prioritize, because choosing where you want to live is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make in your life. So it's really important to go through this. And just because you're born somewhere doesn't mean you have to stay there. You can always go back to Canada. You can always visit family. You can always be proud to be a Canadian. That will never be taken away if that's what you want. But it doesn't mean that you have to live somewhere that isn't working for you, pay high taxes forever. So let's kind of go into this. So the first one is high taxes, low rewards. Now, Canada has some of the highest taxes in the developed world. You look at Canada, it's pretty on par with like Western Europe. Way higher taxes and lower wages than the US. And it's, Canada just basically has a lot of economic stagnation. The stuff really isn't improving in the country. It's very much about, how can we, it's more about, how can we keep wealthy people out and basically, get all of the wealthy people to leave and just get in this sort of low skilled immigration to try and fill this void, which doesn't work. Also the government has talked about a potential exit tax coming, which would be, not good news at all. Some people have rumored it to be around $25,000. So imagine if you just want to leave the country and the government is taxing you to leave the country. You've already paid tax on everything that you buy, everything that you earn, the fuel that you put in your car, the food that you just ate, the days that you just worked, and now they're going to tax you to leave the country. Just gets even worse. Also, a weakening currency as well. The Canadian dollar is not doing well. For somebody that's earning in US dollars, it's basically never been cheaper to visit Canada. So more high net worths are leaving Canada than ever before. The same thing is happening in the UK. The government is just doing the wrong things. And, people that are wealthy don't have to live there. Wealthy people have always kind of been global in that sense, because they're not tied to one specific location. And if, you tax them too much, they'll just leave, set up they'll go live somewhere else and, do business in Canada if they need to, but just do it online, right? Like there's no real reason for them to live in Toronto, for example. But this has a much bigger effect because, even now, newly arrived immigrants are leaving Canada. So that's how bad it's getting. But one of the worst things is that it's causing a huge brain drain. Basically anybody that wants to make money is kind of going to the US, right? Because salaries are so much higher. And if somebody has an online business, they're leaving Canada to go live in better places. And it's really causing a huge brain drain on the country. And I think that Canada really has to do something drastic to get these people back. And I think it's important to remember that, you're really not alone if you feel like this. It doesn't mean that you hate Canada. It doesn't mean that you want Canada to fail. It's okay to seek a better life elsewhere. And many, many people, more people than ever, are seeking a better life elsewhere. So another one is declining quality of life. Canada used to be, praised for its healthcare, and now the healthcare wait times are among some of the longest in the entire world. So, in the US, of course, healthcare is not cheap. But what takes a week in the US takes 6 months in Canada. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to the US. There's many great options around the world. For healthcare at a fraction of the cost, even free in some cases, that is much quicker and better than Canada. So yeah, there's increasing safety concerns. With drug use, increasing homelessness, and it's just really becoming a big issue for people. And more people are just talking about safety concerns in the big Canadian cities. Also stagnant wages as well. People are just basically seeing their, disposable income shrinking over the past few years, and it doesn't really show any sign of improving. Like I said before, the crumbling infrastructure as well. Canada is just overall trending in the wrong direction. And it's super easy to see this. Anyone with a pair of eyes can see that Canada is definitely trending in the wrong direction. So, like I mentioned at the start, there's more global alternatives than ever before. Countries like the UAE, Portugal, Panama, and Mexico offer lower taxes and better opportunities. And that, the list is exhaustive of all the options, which we're going to go through at the end. There's literally, it's never been easier to move to these places, get lower tax rates, much better weather. If you're watching this video right now, in Canada, it's probably minus 20 degrees. And you could be in a low tax place that's extremely safe, great weather year round, and just much better for you. You really just want to find places where you can grow your wealth, protect your assets, and enjoy a superior lifestyle, right? Because it's, one of the things that people care most about is having, being happy and having a great lifestyle. And, when it's minus 20 outside, the sun sets at you get a few hours of sun per day. You're working your job, you're being taxed this high amount, you can't even see a doctor, it's unsafe, it's just not worth it. Another one is government overreach. Obviously, this one is very controversial. But people's bank accounts were frozen, during COVID that protested. There's increasing bureaucracy and regulation, basically making it, impossible to do business in Canada in some ways. The government has restrictions on investment, housing, and even personal freedoms are decreasing. So it's just basically getting worse in that sense. We've spoken enough about the bad stuff. How can you actually escape Canada? So we can basically help you claim a second citizenship, move to a low-tax, high-freedom country, open bank accounts around the world, incorporate offshore companies, and all of these things. And these all help you, increase your quality of life and increase your freedom, so that you're not solely reliant on Canada. And this doesn't mean that you have to, move your entire life straight away. That's not what this means. But it's about moving in gradual steps. If you're ready to move and leave, then do it as soon as you can. But if you can't leave, then there's other options. So one of them, a big option, is going to be for people that can claim a citizenship by descent. Now, this path is pretty amazing way to get extra freedom, because usually you can do it 100% remotely. So for example, if your grandparents, your parents, or even your great grandparents in some cases were born in another country, there's a high probability that you're eligible for some kind of citizenship by descent. Especially if they were from Europe, then it's extremely likely. Countries like Ireland, Italy, countries like Austria, Hungary, Poland, all of these countries have, pretty easy to get citizenship by descent there. So that's something that we can help with. We can help figure out if you're eligible, help you go through the application process, etc. So just another note, if you want help with any of these things, you want to increase your freedom, you can book a call with the link in the description. You can also check out our website at becomeperpetual.com, linked in the description as well. We can also help with helping you move to a low tax, high freedom country. So, especially if you earn money online, you have a business, you have a pension, It's pretty easy. You have a lot of options of countries where you can move to. We can help you get a visa, a residence permit to live there, so that you have a new home. We can also help you open bank accounts around the world to safeguard your wealth. So, we can help open, bank accounts in Switzerland, in Panama, in Georgia, Singapore, Hong Kong. Most of these can be done remotely as well. Also incorporate offshore companies. So, especially if you're Canadian, you're not a US citizen, having a US LLC is greatly beneficial for doing any sort of business online. Also, US bank accounts and credit cards are the best in the world. So we can also help you with that as well. Hong Kong companies, Singapore companies, UK LLPs, Cypriot companies as well, to get an easy residency in the EU. So many different choices. If you just want to, you have some questions, you want to talk about this, feel free to book a call, and I can kind of run you through the options that are best for your specific case. So yeah, if you want to escape Canada today, it's really easy. You just book a call down below. You can check out our website as well. But it's never been easier to escape Canada and move to a better country for you.